This session will close Genesis chapter 38. We left off in verse 26, where it was found out that it was Tamar that was the one that had an intimate relationship with Judah. So then she was pregnant for 6 more months. Let's read the first verse and then we'll continue to speak about this. Genesis 38, verse 27 to 30. And it came to pass in the time of her travail that, behold, twins were in her womb. 6 more months passed between verses 26 and 27, and it is discovered why Tamar was showing her pregnancy at a mere 3 months, when most mothers would not have shown their pregnancy until maybe a month or 2 later. She was expecting twins. So here is the second occurrence in the Bible of the birth of twins. And it came to pass when she travailed. Again, this is verse 28. That one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon the hand a scarlet thread, saying, "This came out first." Then during Tamar's arduous and difficult delivery, one of the twins stuck out his hands, around which the midwife had a scarlet thread to mark who was the firstborn. That's what we just read. And this was important to mark, since to the firstborn there were some special and peculiar privileges, as the account of Jacob and Esau so vividly illustrated. Esau originally had the birthright, and then Jacob took it from him. But I digress. It was obvious that this birth was going to be an unusual birth. My goodness. I've never heard of such a thing as a baby sticking out his hand and say, "Hello." No. Then something very strange and unprecedented happened. I love that word, unprecedented. We read in verse 29 that it came to pass as he drew back his hand. The hand just came, and then the hand, whoop, went back in. That, behold, his brother came out. Wow. And she said, "How have you broken forth? This breach be upon you." Therefore his name was called Pharez. Pharez meant, well, let's see. The one baby boy drew his arm and scarlet tied hand back into the uterus, and suddenly his brother came out of the mother's womb, and so became the properly firstborn. So really, they got kind of confused. Now, who was really the firstborn? The one that had the scarlet thread, or the one that actually came out first? You know, many commentaries call Pharez the secondborn, even though he came out first. This prompted the midwife to ask, "How have you broken forth?" Isn't that what we just read? It was definitely astonishing to her, the midwife, how this could have happened. having never experienced like this in her life, never mind in her practice, she could not imagine how it was possible for him to come forth first when his brother was lying in his way and nearest the birth canal, as it appeared by his putting out his hand. She was definitely worried about the welfare of the mother and the brother who had put out his hand. So all she could exclaim is, "This breach be upon you! Oh, it's your fault if there's damage going to happen." I'll tell you. Therefore, he was named Pharez, meaning breach or division, commemorating this strange event. And afterward came out his brother that had the scarlet thread, and his name was called Zara. Actually, it's a beautiful name, meaning east or brightness or sunrise. Take your pick. Beautiful name. So ends the chapter that seemed to interfere with the account of Joseph. We just start talking about Joseph in chapter 37, and boom, this chapter is right in the middle. So, but God, through Moses, put this chapter here for some very important reasons. First, he was the ancestor of David through Boaz and Ruth, and ultimately to our Lord Jesus Christ. This came about through Hezron. Pharez had 2 sons. Hezron was one of them. Eventually, according to 1 Chronicles 2, 3-15, leading to 3 individuals. Hezron, then somebody else, then somebody else. And these 3 individuals were, just naming 3 names, Jeremiah, Ram, and Caleb. Now through Ram was traced the royal line of David, and Caleb was one of the 2 of the 12 spies sent into the promised land who came back with a good report. We can take them. God, through this chapter, so first showed us one of the ancestors of Jesus, our Messiah, in this chapter. And second, he illustrated to us some of the unique customs so we could identify with them. Moses, on the other hand, not knowing about Jesus or where the Messiah was going to come from, was placing this chapter here to show us the ancestry of one of the 2 great heroes of the faith during his time, during the Exodus, and they were Caleb and Joshua. You know, remarkably, both Jesus and Caleb came from Pharez. Another remarkable thing about chapter 38 is Tamar. She, like her namesake, the palm tree, yeah, that's what Tamar means, palm tree, was strong and resilient and persistent. What truly is remarkable is that in Matthew 1, 3-6, she was the first of the 4 women mentioned in the kingly line of Jesus Christ. They're all guys, but there were 4 women. 4 women. And these 4 women were Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, and her that had been the wife of Uriah. Well, we know that was Bathsheba. Obviously, God through Tamar, God thought Tamar was special. Tamar was special. Though most, including Judah, thought of her as unimportant and inconsequential. Have you felt that way lately? I don't mean anything to anyone. Why am I here? If you are truly a disciple of Jesus Christ, God will not count you out. In fact, you have the full potential to be as special as Tamar turned out to be. And don't you forget it. You